Welcome back, folks. It's another great day here on Valiant Renegade. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Share this sucker out on the social medias. And do leave a comment before you head out today. Because this is where Hollywood comes to get put through the business and financial lens of reality. It's time. Renegade Online. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to be back here. It's been a spell. Let's freaking go. That's right, Marcus Quintus. We appreciate you guys being out there. Had a little bit of a break. You guys know I was traveling a week or two ago, and then last week had a late night, as did the great Ron Coleman, who is also joining me here.
Late night?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Is that something. The story? Yeah, something. It's been a crazy week. It's been a mad week.
I know.
Ups and downs, madness, wealth, poverty. Several things have remained constant.
Well,
God is in heaven.
He is.
My hair is not coming back.
Mine either.
And it's a valiant nation.
It is. It is. We're here tonight. We have got we've got some stuff to go through. I mean, I debate where to begin. I know we have a lot to discuss with the SAVE Act that has now passed the House. Democrats really, really hate voter ID. It's anything that
I don't think it's personal.
Yeah.
I don't think they hate voter ID at all. I think they just love power and wealth and grift and graft. And voter ID is the kryptonite to all those super things.
It really is, isn't it? I mean, let's just, this is one of my favorite clips so far here. I guess I'll cue this one up because it's absolutely brilliant. Scott Jennings, always just so on point.
They're gonna kill him,
Let's not put that in the world. I know. But yeah, they can't stop him because he does this.
What voting rights is he taking away from black voters?
Oh, if we look at
the SAVE Act?
The SAVE Act, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is actually going to continue.
Is it too quiet?
Franchise.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me boost that a little bit more. That clip just might be really, really low. Let's try that. That might be too much. I never can tell until I play it and then somebody gives me feedback.
What voting rights is he taking away from black voters?
Oh, if we look at
the SAVE Act?
The SAVE Act, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is actually going to continue to disenfranchise overwhelmingly a lot of people of color.
How?
There are so many civil rights organizations that have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to disenfranchise black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called it Jim Crow 2.0.
So,
this is the same president. If we want to continue,
yet.
I am talking about it. It's the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making people have. That's what we can call them now.
What? I'm sorry. Is there a poll tax in the SAVE Act, Mr. Coleman?
I'd have to ask my friend Jack Posobiec. He's in charge of the polls, but I'm not really, I'm not familiar. I don't think you can get away with that kind of thing anymore.
Yeah, no. So is she trying to suggest that compelling somebody who wants to exercise their right to vote to procure themselves a valid photo ID, which in many cases, if you fall under the poverty level, the state will provide you, it's not a driver's license per se, but they will provide you a photo ID, a state-issued photo ID for free.
Listen, the things that people give you for free, like, if that's their concern, these are people whose government philosophy is no appliance or luxury should be denied people who can't afford to have such a thing, right? Obama phones.
Yep.
If we can give you that, I think we can give you a free voter ID. But it's such a fallacious argument. And she just keeps talking right past him. Because it's all about the narrative.
Yeah.
And it's nothing but narrative.
It keeps going.
It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID, the reality is you're layering what is a constitutional right for the
right to her. That's the poll tax, not a tax, not a fee. That when we talked about poll tax historically in this country, was what that was. No. The poll tax is now it's an idiom. She says it's because you're now making somebody produce proof of who they are in order to vote. Well, that's a poll tax in her world.
American people and making it harder for people to vote in this country, and it's going to disenfranchise Black voters.
Can I say something here? And I've actually been saying this for many years, and I love the fact that there's more and more people out there starting to say it out loud too. They're not afraid anymore. Yes, I'm fine with making it a little harder to vote. It's way too damn easy right now. And especially with, universal mail-in ballots, you can't trace all. God forbid we do it like we did for 200 plus years, where we have election day and you have to show up to a polling precinct in person
or
with an ID,
or request an absentee ballot.
Yes,
by a deadline. This is something in the adult world, okay?
Yeah.
Where financial advisors and lawyers operate. Deadlines. You've got to do something on or by a certain day. And if you anticipate a problem with that deadline, there are measures in place for you to deal with that. But this idea that, look, it's been a scam since day one. Day one.
We haven't got to the Canada story yet, Ron. Damn it.
Oh boy, I've been trying to kind of avoid that because it's really revolting. But okay, yeah. I'll follow you.
No. I just I love this comment. Love you both, but my preference is Ron.
Oh, she still. So Andrea has just went through some like a little health scare. So I think there are still toxins and maybe even some anesthesia in the blood because all right, seriously, no, of course, listen, reasonable people, there's room in the world for both of us, clearly. Yeah. All right, back to business here.
Yeah, speaking of business.
Look at this Chiron.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the editorializing. It's just damage control. Trump, it's like these people are just...
Posts old pics. I didn't even notice that with black celebs after Obama backlash. I'm sorry. Obama, I think, has kind of fallen off in terms of his clout even faster than Bill Clinton did. I mean, they hung around a long time. Obama seemed to just...
Well, okay. I mean, yeah. Obama has lost his public clout.
Yeah.
If you believe what some people, including people I've had on my program, have not only argued, but can back it up, he's still running everything.
Oh, on the Democrat side, no doubt. That is true.
That's clout.
Yeah. No, that is clout. But no, you're right. I'm talking about more from the public persona and perception. I don't think he doesn't have that. Clinton seemed to have that lingering gravitas for many, 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 many years after he was gone in the public eye.
Well, we forget. We do. Mm-hmm. We forget that Bill Clinton was not only advertised as a moderate,
mm-hmm.
he was a moderate. he was, I mean, he was too liberal for me.
Yeah.
But it was different. It was definitely different.
Yeah, it was. Let me grab these real quick. Packing protons for 5. I wish there was a way to legally limit the voting power of big blue cities. Fix that.
It's called the Senate. It's called the Electoral College.
Yep.
But what Packing is getting at, though, is that it has reached the point where so few people, and I don't think anyone who worked out the constitutional structure of political power in the United States 100 years ago, I mean 250 years ago, anticipated this. Cities have become so dominant in every state. So few people live in the hinterlands.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been so much bold abuse of gerrymandering that the idea was that in the Senate, it wouldn't just be that the rural would trump the cities or the cities would trump the rural, but that there would be some balance. But now people don't live on farms. People, everyone pretty much lives in cities. And you have your cities, right? Your big blue cities. And then you have in every state multiple college cities, university cities. And these are stacked like crazy, in opposition to American values.
Oh, no doubt. And unfortunately, we've got a lot of redistricting going on that kind of plays into this story with the SAVE Act, where they want to pass, and it has passed the House. We'll talk about that in a minute. This national voter ID law. So that's what they're debating here. And again, Scott Jennings is still not having any of this. And these arguments about passing voter ID would disproportionately affect. It's always the same thing. Women and minorities. Every time something like this. And it's, again, you got a job. Are you on government assistance? Do you have a bank account? Do you live somewhere? Did you sign a lease? Did you have Section 8? You had to have some type of ID to acquire all of those things that poor people have or typically get. So they got them. That's kind of the point.
Concern you that you're making all these claims. You've yet to lay out how it's hurting anyone, but 76% of black voters think we should show an ID to vote. 80% of Hispanics.
Wait a minute. I was told that black people don't have driver's licenses. Why does 76% support the voter ID? Something must be wrong.
There's also no way that polling information is correct. Keep in mind that black people don't have access to the internet.
That's just true too.
So they're probably
Kamala Harris said that.
Right. So how could they even really know what the issues are? It's impossible.
Yes, this is true.
Hispanic voters, 83% of the American people. Are you saying that black voters
The
are
SAVE
too
Act
dumb to
isn't
know
just,
what's good for them? I mean,
the
it
SAVE Act
sounds
isn't
pretty,
just about
it sounds pretty
that's
condescending
not
to
what
me.
I said.
That's
The
not
SAVE
what I
Act
You
is
got
not
three-quarters
just
of black
about
voters
IDs.
That is not
who want
right.
voter ID.
But
To
that's
be
not-
clear, the SAVE Act
that's
is
your
not
putting
just
words in my
about
mouth.
IDs. The SAVE Act is about
So what?
proof of citizenship.
So what?
So it doesn't. I actually
Oh my God forbid that proof of citizenship should be a requisite to be able to cast a vote.
Look, it's got nothing to do with the merits. It's just all about. And here's the thing, though. There's really not an issue at this point that they're not willing to, step on the rake with respect to what the majority of Americans and even the majority of their own constituencies want. They are, when I say they, I mean the extremists who speak for the Democrats today. They're speaking to their donors, their activists, the fringe, and they're I mean, here's we're really coming to crunch time, because what we're seeing right in front of our eyes is that these women, these two hostess ladies, whoever they are they are confident that opinion polls are irrelevant. Black people will do as they are told and always vote Democrat, regardless of what polls tell us. And so far, on the one hand, so far they've mostly been right, but on the other hand, if Harmeet Dillon and friends start to get the kind of traction that they are looking for on these on this election litigation, and it's not going to be a slam dunk because they've already had one judge say that I think it was in Wisconsin, they couldn't have voter rolls, and that's going to be overturned in a second. But the point is, it really actually takes a very small. It's the Democrats don't need, or rather, the Republicans don't need to all of a sudden get a majority of blacks. They just need to decrease the
20%.
black vote. I mean, I wish we had our friend from Rasmussen here because he could probably spit these numbers out in a second. But just a couple of points in the wrong direction, and it's all over.
Yeah. Years ago, I remember the figure was, if it ever solidly got to 20% of black voters would start voting Republican, that would decimate Democrat electoral power. It would be beyond destructive. But getting back to this one, finish this little clip here that we've got from CNN and Scott Jennings.
It also makes it very hard for married women who've changed
I was just
their
going to say,
lives.
we talked about this
young
before.
people,
It's not, it actually, there's an argument to be made that red state voters, women, poor white voters could be just as.
I know, you think they're dumb too, don't you?
Young
I mean, that's the
voters.
thing.
Nobody
I
thinks
hear
they're
these
dumb.
arguments. I've
Scott,
heard
hold on,
Democrats all
hold on,
week long.
Scott.
No,
Please don't. No, you listen.
There's the deflection from talking about Donald Trump's racism
I'm actually
right there.
You should be thinking about your constituents or your
yeah, I think
your,
they're smart
your
enough to figure out how to
colleagues in
register to
Kentucky.
vote, Abby.
Hold on. Most Americans don't have a passport. Many Americans don't have access to their birth certificate. Many women, a majority of women who change their names for marriage
listen,
have to provide additional proof
all
that they've
week long,
changed their
all
legal
week long,
names in
I have
order to
heard-
register to
I
vote.
have heard
So
Democrats
Scott, why
make
don't
these
you
same
actually
arguments.
respond
Right.
to the substance of what I'm saying?
I am, and the
as
substance
opposed
is
to
this.
making this
You're
about
saying-
something that it's not.
You're saying,
it's not just
you're
about
saying
voter ID.
married
It's
women,
also about
black
who has
voters,
access
and rural people are
to-
too stupid to figure out how to
Excuse
register to
me?
No,
vote.
that's
No,
not.
that is
That's
not what
so
Democrats
offensive.
It is.
That
That's what she's
so
basically
offensive.
saying.
That is
so
not what she
offensive.
said.
Let me
Somebody
offer-
said.
you
let
saying
me offer
they
the
can't
proof.
figure out how
Let
to
me
vote?
offer.
Scott,
Let me offer
I
the
Are you
proof.
saying they can't
This
figure
is
out how to
the
vote?
exact.
Yeah, here's the thing, and then they get into this issue. Now it's married women. I think it's throwing spaghetti against the wall. I don't know about you, Ron.
No, you don't. Remember that.
Yeah, that's right.
No, you really don't know. You don't know
I don't know
what I've been through.
Ron Coleman. We're both married, and we've both been married for decades. I'm
No,
pretty
I
sure.
go through every single day.
I am pretty damn sure that if I went and took my wife's driver's license out of her purse right now, and you went and got Jane's, we'd probably find that their last names, if they both took our names, which I'm pretty sure I know mine did, I know yours did, it's already there. It's on a driver's license. Like every woman goes through this. They get married. They get a marriage certificate. They usually turn right around, go to the DMV, update their driver's license, and bam.
By the way, the only people who actually get married in 21st century America are upper middle class and higher.
That's
Everyone else is a fiance
Mhm.
with multiple shared children, like,
Everybody else is on Tinder.
or whatever the hell they're doing. Then all the fun that we're missing out on. The point is, none of this stuff. This is just such a straw man.
Yeah.
It's so much bad faith.
It really is. And that's part of the problem is that every argument they have, and I've been hearing these same arguments for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. I mean, the discussion of mandatory voter ID has been a thing for as far back as I can remember, since I've paid attention to politics in the early to mid 90s. I can tell you here where I vote in Louisiana, you are supposed to present ID. Many states, most states have already ID. You walk into a polling precinct, the first thing they ask is, hand me your driver's license. You hand them your driver's license so they can look at your name, your address, and match it up to your registration in the registrar, in the book. Make sure, A, you're in the right precinct, and B, you are who you say you are, and C, you're eligible to vote in this precinct, in this election. Simple as that. And, Louisiana has had that for as long as I've been voting, over 28 years, whatever it's been now, and further back than that. Now, I can tell you in some places in Louisiana, they don't necessarily follow that rule. And
Louisiana would not be, I think, anyone's idea of the
New Orleans,
the model voter integrity state.
In certain places, yes. But
it's the old thing.
Yeah.
It's all you need is certain places. I mean,
that's just it.
Pennsylvania, as big of a state as it is, just all you need is Philadelphia to pretty much
ignore the law or ignore best practices. Let's put it that way. But yeah, so this has kind of been the thing now for the last couple of days with the SAVE Act, and then this is just. I don't need to play all these.
Keep in mind, though, what you're observing, what you're describing is they have had to shift the argument from black folk are too stupid to get birth certificates, which I think everyone realizes now, including a lot of black folk, that that's a really offensive argument, or driver's licenses or whatever the case may be, to women. Because the Democrats, if there's one thing the Democrats know, it's that they've got the Karen vote. Oh, yeah, they've got the Karen vote. So they're doubling down. They're reinforcing their Karen support. But most women, as you point out, Elliot, they kind of figured out the last name thing pretty early on.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that being a problem. And then you get the incredibly silly, hyperbolic arguments beyond ridiculous, like this. Representative Lauren Underwood from, let's see, where? I don't even know where she's from. Does it matter? No. With the Save America Act, Republicans are taking voting rights away from 69 million women.
69 million women.
$1 million. Yeah.
Republicans are trying to make it harder for you to vote. Let me tell you how. The Save America Act would require your passport or your birth certificate to match your current name in order to be able to vote. If y'all got married and changed your name, your birth certificate would not match your current name. Nearly 69 million women in America have a birth certificate that does not match their current name, and therefore 69 million American women would no longer be eligible to vote. These guys say,
I'm trying to understand this issue of, I'm not aware, unless I'm totally mistaken, there's anything in the SAVE Act that says you have to show up at the polling precinct with your birth certificate.
Yeah, I don't think that's...
Yeah, I don't think it, because I could print a birth certificate on my computer that says anything. How would they know it's me? Right? And that's the whole point of, you have to have a birth certificate to obtain a photo ID, like a driver's license or a state-issued ID. But then that's it. That's all you need to vote is a photo ID with your name on it, certified by the state. This is who this person is.
And by the way, Representative Lauren, as Valiant says, each state that wants to guarantee the franchise, they can set up a voter ID system. And you know what you have to do to get the voter ID? You have to bring your birth certificate or your social security card once. Right. One time. And maybe you have to renew it every 10 years, like a driver's license. Mm-hmm. One time. Here's my other point. As a lawyer, if you can't get your hands on your birth certificate or your passport and you're an adult, mm-hmm. maybe that's something you ought to remedy.
Yeah.
Do you want to open a bank account? Do you want to You want to travel overseas?
Anything. Not even, you can't even travel domestically on an airplane now without a real ID. A real ID. Like, I had a driver's license, and last year I had to go up it to a real ID, which itself was kind of silly because it was like I already had to provide a birth certificate for the driver's license. Then they needed to see the birth certificate again, along with 2 bills from my house. It was like they put the little gold star on it. I know.
It is such an insult to the intelligence, but they're never ever arguing issues. It's always narratives and talking points.
Yeah, every time, every single time.
That the Save America Act is needed to prevent undocumented immigrants from voting, but y'all already know that
undocumented.
Not a thing. What this really is.
Oh, it's not happening. She said, y'all already know. There's no illegals voting.
Well, that's the good thing.
Yeah, we don't know that. That's the problem.
It's a voter suppression bill to keep lawfully voting American citizens from being able to exercise their foundational right to vote. I'm obviously voting no, but I just want you guys to know.
Surprise.
This is serious, and it's happening right now, ahead of the critical 2026 midterm election.
Yeah. Okay. And she is from Illinois.
So she is apparently Weatherman is she's an Illinois. Remember, Illinois, up there with one of the top 3 dysfunctional state legislatures in the country.
Oh yeah,
and they have really been up the curve, especially when it comes to fiscal responsibility. California and New York, during relatively more sane times, even though Democrats have been dominant in those states for a long time, but in the last few decades, have put into place certain financial fiscal measures, at the state level. Illinois has always been utterly irresponsible fiscally, and they are on the precipice. And I'm sure you know this if you ever give advice about municipal bonds. They are so underfunded in terms of their payroll obligations. I mean their pension obligations. Mm-hmm. Like half the people in Chicago or something crazy like that are collecting public pensions.
Yeah, government pensions. Yeah, California is not.
It's all make-believe money. It's not there.
No, California, I think it's even worse. I can't remember. I remember a few years ago saw the pension deficit that California has. The shortfall they've got is terrifying. It is the entire budget, 2 and 3 times the entire budget of other states. I mean, it's crazy. And again, you wonder why they think they can tax their way out of it, and that's not working either. But that's another conversation. Marcus for 5, he gifted, and how the lefties in Canada going to spin this mass shooting membership?
So Marcus is going to decide the segues here. I guess you are, because you okay. Let's go.
Well, no. I'm not there. I'm just grabbing super chats. Okay. Yeah. Marcus for 5 also said in North Dakota, a state ID card non-driver is $3 for 15 years and under, $8 for 16 to 64-year-olds. This includes enhanced IDs, less than a jug of Jerry Curl, he says. And Skull Leader says,
how does he know what Jerry Curl costs?
I don't know. I don't even think they still make it. Nobody still uses it. I thought like Rick James used it all up in the 80s, and there was none left. And then we got to the 90s, it was all gone. Skull Leader says for 5, military members were actively disenfranchised because of slow federal and military mail not making it in by deadlines. I know we've seen stories of that in the past. The getting those in on time. Ritasaurus says for 5, Pam Bondi has become Fauci 2.0. If she's not going to go after those Epstein and friends harmed and killed, then she needs to go. Even Eric Holder was better. That's a bit much on the Eric Holder comment there. But
so who are the people that I want to know from Rhedosaurus. Who are the people you believe that are being protected? Names.
Yeah.
And tell me the crime that they committed and the evidence that you have for that. Okay, Rhedosaurus, you don't have to spend another $5. I'll be looking for your response. You can tag me if you want, so I'll be sure and see it, and we'll make sure to get it up there. I want to know the name of the person you think that she should be going after, and what, other than what you hear or what you believe, but what it is in the Epstein file, so-called, that you have seen that makes you believe that that person committed a crime. We'll get back to that.
Fair enough. So going back to this, so back to the SAVE Act real quick. So, and again, Republicans are celebrating blocking millions of women from voting if their married name doesn't match the, oh, shut up. This is so ridiculous. So, this is at the White House posted this. It passed the House earlier today.
No thanks to Mr. Massey.
No, Thomas Massey was the, yeah.
He did vote ultimately for the bill, but he voted against the procedural provision that enabled the bill to get voted on.
Yeah. It's a game of cat and mouse half the times, and I never understand it why. But the Senate's going to be more fun because you always, you're going to get the Murkowskis and the other ones.
Well, Murkowski's already right. She's already told us which way she's going.
Oh yeah, the way you think she's going, which is no.
So the question is going to be whether in the Senate they will. I don't think they're going to go nuclear option, although I really think they should over this. But they might do. There's a halfway version of the nuclear option, which is instead of waiting for a vote of cloture, in order to filibuster, someone has to be at the podium
24/7. Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah, the nuclear option, for those of y'all in the audience may not be aware, classic term to describe shutting the filibuster down. I mean, terminating the rule that allows the filibuster so that you can just proceed directly to a vote, which has been done. When was the last time? Was it Harry Reid was the one that opened that door, and then the Republicans took over the Senate and said, oh, thanks for getting rid of the filibuster for us.
That was on judicial nominations.
Yes, that's right. But that was during the Harry Reid years, was it not?
Where would we be?
Yeah, exactly. Congressional Democrats are being exposed as massive hypocrites, says Eric Daughtry, for voting against voter photo ID in the House using their photo IDs. Representative Michael Cloud, for reference, this is how we vote in the U.S. House. Insert photo ID. Press button. and this he literally posted a picture of this. I thought this was brilliant, and you can see it here.
And what's his argument? What does the text there say?
The argument is he's saying that the Democrats are being ridiculous about.
Eric is saying that that's how it works. Okay, all right.
And Representative Michael Cloud is the one he's citing here, who said this is why it's ridiculous. Democrats are voting against voter photo ID, and yet every Democrat that voted no had to insert their photo ID into the machine in the House to cast their ballot. Yeah,
let's face it. They're also against people defending themselves with guns because they have very large men and very fat women with guns defending them.
Wait, oh darn it! Now I'm gonna go find it because you said it. Oh damn it! All right. Damn it. You made me play it. It wasn't my Ron made me do it.
I made him do it. I made him do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, there's a few other things out there on this, and just some good clips, because I think we've all seen the story. It's going to go to the Senate now, right? And to my point earlier about, I think maybe there are too many people voting, because it's a simple matter of, if you're not capable of performing basic adult functions, like getting a photo ID that pretty much every American, maybe you shouldn't be voting
Listen,
anyway.
Listen, Valiant, stop it with your substantive arguments.
Yeah.
This is all about the process. The question now is what happens in the Senate. Like we talked about, they're not going to have a majority. They're not. If they have a majority, it'll be a 1 or 2 vote majority. It's not going to be 60. It might get passed one way or another. Maybe Vance will have to vote. Whatever it is, the question is then going to be: the papers have already been drafted to get the TRO and the preliminary injunction. They will be filed in the District of DC. They'll be filed. I mean, for some reason, we're not hearing from Hawaii the way we did in years past. Probably Boston, because there's a really insane judge in Boston or two. But the point is, they're going to get their TRO. They're going to get their TRO, and this law is not going to go into effect unless and until the Supreme Court weighs in on an issue it has been avoiding for decades.
Yes.
Having said that, it's just as well that they have, because until the court that we have now, we really have no reason to believe that they would have come out the right way.
Yeah.
So if there's any chance that they will do so now, it's a better chance than it would have been 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right on with that. And hopefully it can be one of those cases that has an accelerated timeline, obviously because of what we're coming up to in this year, in 2026. That's going to be the case with all of these redistricting fights that we see that are going on. They're going to wind up one place or another, but eventually they're going to wind up in the Supreme Court, I think, in some cases. And decisions are going to need to be rendered prior to really probably by the summer. It's going to have to, because you're going to have to be able to determine, number one, who's eligible to vote in what district. And if the district changes, then who is even eligible to run as a candidate in said district. There's all kind of stuff. So it really has to kind of get a move on here. I found this one. You said we're speaking of Chicago. I thought this was very appropriate. Chicago's vaccine mandate in 2022. You have to have a photo ID to accompany that vaccination card. This is a news report, apparently, from
This is something that we've been seeing across.
Ooh, that's loud. I knew because I pumped up the other one, so this one is going to ear blast us. So in 2022, and a lot of blue cities were like this, if you had a vaccine card, you'd also have to present a photo ID. So if somebody stopped you, they could make sure that the vaccine card belonged to you, or you were the person named on the card.
This is something that we've been seeing across the country. As you know, New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New Orleans, just a few of the cities who have already had these vaccine mandates in place. Here in Chicago, as you mentioned, as well as Philadelphia, those mandates take place today. And so here in the Windy City, what that looks like is anyone aged 5 years and older must show proof of being fully vaccinated, that vaccination card. Then if you're 16 years and older, you have to have a photo ID to accompany that vaccination card. The city here saying, look, this is a way to try and decrease the spread of this virus. As we know, Omicron is just surging across the country.
Oh, my God. You have to have a photo ID to go along with your vaccine card in the very same deep blue cities that are now saying, no, you shouldn't have to have photo ID to vote.
Well,
make it make sense.
Well, okay. Voting is important, but it's not as important as killing grandmas.
This is true.
Because if you didn't have a photo ID, you would be a grandma murderer.
I didn't think about that.
Country here. We've been talking to business owners, restaurant owners who say they've got mixed feelings of this. Some are frustrated, worried about having to hire more staff to try and police this. Others say, look, a year ago, we had zero business. Our doors were forced to close. So this is a way to try and stay open and keep everyone safe.
So in other words, keep everyone safe. You might have to bring in extra people. That's okay. It's important because the integrity of the public health is paramount. Not so with voting, I guess. ridiculous. So
keep in
anyway.
mind though that all this public health stuff. Remember that was all done under the unenunciated police power.
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere does the Constitution discuss the police power. Neither does anyone doubt that there's such a thing, because if it didn't, that would be like saying that state governments can't govern. I mean, governing police power means the ability to make laws and rules. We get that. How it is that those laws and rules were allowed so many times to trump the to trump constitutional rights, that's much more problematic.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I mean, that's the problem with this, is the arguments always seem to fall flat over and over and over again. And it's like you said earlier on, it's just a matter of they want to be able to consolidate and maintain and grow power by any means necessary. And one of the impediments to that goal would be verifying that people are who they are and are eligible to vote, or haven't voted 2 and 3 times in different precincts and everything else. You know, especially just walking in and, I guess I'm not on the rolls, give me a provisional ballot, and no identification, no nothing, things like this. Now, one of the things I wanted to bring up before this goes to the Senate, Ron, I don't know if you saw this. I think we probably should talk about this one. But what I want to, it just went crazy on me. The Democrats, if you didn't know, have actually come up with their own bill. I don't know if you've seen this. It's kind of an answer to the SAVE Act. Are you familiar with this at all?
Am I familiar with what at all?
The Democrat answer to the SAVE Act. They have come up with their own bill to.
No, not at all.
To counter this, it's actually quite interesting. Let me go ahead and bring this up. If you haven't seen this one, it's called Ron Coleman and audience. They just introduced it today. It's called the Steele Act. This is from the Babylon Bee, everybody. With debate ongoing over Republican proposed SAVE Act to shore up the U.S. election integrity, Democrat lawmakers countered by proposing their own legislation, the Steele Act, to ban voter ID in elections. The bill, which has the full title of Shield the Election from Legitimacy Act, would make it illegal for anyone to present valid identification when voting in an election, thereby preventing any safeguards against fraud from being put in place. This legislation is vital to the survival of our party, said House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, with Republicans seeking to discriminate against people by only allowing citizens to vote. They've left us no choice but to respond with their own bill that would ensure a complete lack of election integrity whatsoever. That's why we're proud to introduce the Steele Act. This legislation will give the Democrat Party a bright and robust future for all elections. You gotta love it. You gotta love the Babylon Bee. Without this law, we will be stuck with legitimate democracy, said Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. I shudder to think the level of election security that would be put in place if this legislation does not pass. Can you imagine in America where only people who are legally allowed to vote can cast their ballots? It's terrifying. I saw that. I thought it'd be cute to add in. Thank you to the Babylon Bee on that one. I saw that one today. I said, that's too good. We'll throw it in. We're talking about that tonight. Yes. We try to let the professional satirists work. Any case. But I mean, look, what are the chances at this point? I mean, it's close. There's been a count going on. If you haven't seen it, I think who was posting it? I think it was either Nick Sorter, or I think they're up to 49 votes right now. Let me double check. I just had this up, and I believe, let's see. I remember just seeing something. Yeah. I think he had the list for it, but I think it's up to 49 votes right now is what they have committed.
Really?
Is in the Senate. So it is damn close.
I think well, they need the majority, obviously.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get the majority. Um, I don't know what's the latest on the standing filibuster.
Well, I mean, I think that's a bridge that's not yet crossed. It's they haven't voted in the Senate on it yet, but obviously they have commitments. And let me see if it's if he just I think he just had an update here, or it might have been somebody else. Group of GOP senators are on the floor pushing hard for the ban on sanctuary cities. Let's see, Klobuchar. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was somebody else. Somebody was running a count because I saw it was like we have 48 votes, and then it was, it sounds like we have 49 votes now. I thought it was Nick Sorter, but apparently it was somebody else. I'll have to go back and take a look. But so they're a little bit closer than I thought they might be, and obviously I think there's crossover. It was
one
Mike
thing
Lee.
I'd like to know,
Okay.
Valiant, is why it took so long to get this legislation into, like, why was this not on last year's legislative agenda?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing's changed. We have the same, the same composition of the House, except worse.
Mm-hmm.
What were they waiting for? Because this is going to go up. It's not going to be resolved until the Supreme Court rules on it. Like this, the legislative part is simply a it's a kabuki dance. This is going to end up being a judicially. I mean, it's not a kabuki dance. If they don't get it passed, then it doesn't get to the court, I guess. But this was what I was anticipating would be one of the first orders of business.
Right. You would think so. And I'm looking at Mike Lee's page now while I'm listening to you, Ron, and I'm trying to find it. And this is, he's got his main page, he's got his personal page. But yeah, see, yesterday added Senator Curtis. We're now at 44. This was yesterday for the Save America Act in the Senate. Now that 44 has, I saw the 48, and then I thought I saw a 49. And I'm thinking that one of those, I think with John Fetterman was recently doing an interview with a news organization and seemed to suggest that he would support it. So that's a Democrat or former Democrat vote. He hadn't really, seems to have been more, let's call him on the independent side in recent year or two than he was with the Democrats. But yeah, he must have had this on his other page because I'm not seeing it here. But I thought that he did. Maybe it was on his main page. Let's see. Mike, oops. How did I do that? Let's see. Let's go to Senator Mike Lee's page. You might have it. Yep, and then there were 49. Dan Sullivan. So there it is. That is, I was right. Okay, I knew I saw that somewhere. So on Senator Mike Lee's page, not his personal Twitter or X account, big thank you to Senator Dan Sullivan for co-sponsoring the Save America Act.
That's
and then there
today.
were 49.
Uh-huh.
Yep, that's like an hour ago, 2 hours ago. So yep. So now they're at 49. So they're right there. If they can get one more, you got J.D. Vance as a tiebreaker. So to me, it's doing better right now than I thought it might in the Senate, because the Senate's always a hat trick. You always know you're going to lose 2 or 3 of those Republicans. Now, one of the guys apparently that is not committed yet, at my last count, unless this has changed in the last few hours, was Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell. I don't know if Mitch McConnell has any brain cells working left. I mean, he was a man that did not look like he was in good health the last time, and I'm not saying that to be cruel. I just, we all have our opinions on Mitch McConnell and him being a Senate Majority Leader and what he's managed to accomplish or not accomplish. But I don't know, and again, that may have been may have been on Mike Lee's page. Yeah, see, 48 and counting, and then we went to 49 and counting. But I think somebody had the list of the ones that were still outstanding, and Mitch McConnell's name was notably upon that list. And again, you're not going to get the Suzanne Collins, you're not going to get the Lisa Murkowskis. We already know that. They're Republicans totally in name only. They never really vote anything remotely responsible.
Well, that's not really true. I got to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, they have been consistent on judicial votes. Every single judge that has been appointed by Donald Trump has been approved by by every Senate Republican, as far as I know.
Well, that's good then. I didn't know that.
That is because there's no other way they get through.
This is true. I suppose so. Oops. Go back here. So, any case, just we'll see where this goes. I don't know what the plan is. I'm guessing they're going to try to vote on this thing maybe tomorrow or early next week. I know they're not going to want this to drag out, but it's going to be a matter of, like you said, I think the filibuster issue is going to be across that bridge when you get there, kind of thing. And like you said, you can take the soft approach and say, no, we're not calling a recess, and you're going to pick it back up 8 hours from now after everybody gets to go home and take a nap. No, stand up there 24/7. Make them fight it out. I don't know. Or like you said, you go the full nuclear option and you amend the Senate rules to close debate and bring it to the floor for a straight up or down vote. Archer Merchant says, for 5, a bizarre world where they cite Jim Crow erroneously for theatrics and Don Lemon violating the KKK Act. It's like down is up. Talking about, Don Lemon's little church soiree, I guess.
Right, but I don't understand the sentence. They cite Jim Crow erroneously for theatrics. Do they mean, and Don Lemon violates the KKK Act? Okay, that's they don't cite Don Lemon. Those are two different things that happen in the bizarro world. Okay.
Yep, that's what I'm figuring there. Cats and dogs living together. Yeah, mass hysteria. Ghostbusters. Now, look, I know, and I don't want to belabor the horrors of the story. It's a terrible tragedy, and everybody's no. We're not going to. My interest in the story was the somewhat predictable response from the news media. We have another instance where you have one of these tragic events. Somebody shows up at a school. This is in Canada, and I didn't think they were supposed to have guns up there, but I guess they do. But somebody shows up in Canada and decides to unalive 10 people or whatever it was, and counting. And suspiciously, the news media out there was a bit mum as to the, usually you get these things out. The news media, it will trip over themselves to get to a microphone and say it was a white man. They always want to get that out. They want to make it. Once again, it appears that the shooter was of a non-binary flavor. It was a transgender shooter. Again, we're seeing this way too often. And there's a lot of people out there, and I think maybe some people in Canada are really getting fed up with it, because you've got a government that supports not only people doing this, children and parents encouraging it, but you have a national healthcare system in Canada that fully medically backs it and conducts it on children. And then wondering why some of these kids wind up snapping and showing up and causing mass violence. And that's what we've got here. So I had a couple of clips that I wanted to bring up because I heard some new words this week, like gun person.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, are we?
Gunman. We never had gun lady, right? Or gun woman.
No,
so,
I don't think so.
So I guess the word shooter is really helpful here.
Right. And I'm scrolling back to some of the bookmarks that I have here, and this is, I have some clips from this. This is a recent list, a patterned list of some folks involved in some of these horrible events and non-binary, self-identifying, yada yada yada. I mean, it's just, yeah. Libtards protect trans kids.
Whose point is that? Dixon. Oh, I'm not going to say the name of that account. Okay.
Yeah, I know. So, but for those of you wondering, yes, that is the great Terry Crews. I don't know if there's a better, like, giant bodybuilder comedic actor kind of guy than Terry freaking Crews. Everything he's in cracks me up. I love him.
Like what other things has he been in?
He was in, oh man, he's always had a bunch of little bit parts in movies. You would remember him when he got really famous when who was it? Old Spice hired him to do the Old Spice ads, and he was the big black bodybuilder guy. Power, and he did the ads for Old Spice for years, and they were bonkers. But I mean, good Lord, I'm trying to remember the last movie I saw Terry Crews in. He was in it's always like some kind of action or action comedy thing. But let me scroll back. Media baffled. This is another Babylon Bee article. Media baffled as to anything mass shooters might possibly have in common. This is it. This is part of the news conference, and this is where the question was asked about this. And this is the part of the story that I was mostly paying attention to, because it's once again the level of, care and kit gloves and respect that we have to take and dance around the fact, because this person identified as non-binary.
We're not hiding it. In fact, you're the first media to ask the question. I will say this: we identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that who
really deserves more respect and deference
than the murderer?
Someone who kills 10 people.
Right, exactly. That's my issue. Like I said, if this had just been a white Canadian man, heterosexual white Canadian man, no, I don't think they would have been this delicate. No, but I mean, this is what you get now.
We identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male, who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female, both socially and...
God bless him. Listen, whatever. He's a mental case.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a mental case, and you're just telling us another way where he's a mental case,
Yeah, paid for by the Canadian taxpayers, for that process. But it, like I said, it's because, look, the point is that they did not even want to put that information out there. Of course, the internet is undefeated, and the internet found the individual and then said, "Hey, wait a minute, we've got another one of them." There you go. And this is what forced it. And then this is the, I cannot, if this is the right clip, I cannot get over this. Y'all think I'm lying.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately.
Yep. Let me play it again. Talking about the number of people that are now deceased, including the shooter. But because the shooter was trans, non-binary, they, them.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it possible that these deceased persons could be found to identify as alive, and then there would be no crime?
That's an excellent point.
Who's to say? Who's to say? I rest my case.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. I think it's a valid point. If they can identify as being alive, then maybe they still are, and maybe certain charges will be dropped in that instance. I just don't know. Everybody loved this clip, so I'm gonna play it again. For those of y'all who enjoyed the video about the halftime ratings for Bad Bunny, I'm just gonna go ahead and, since this was next in my queue, I'm gonna play it for you anyway. For the super chats that you guys are sending in. Here we go. Kid Rock, Bad Bunny.
Damn!
That last bit makes it.
I only recently found out what movie that was from because I'm not so much on up to speed on the movies.
Yeah.
And then I had to watch that movie.
Friday.
Oh no, I didn't watch it though. Mm-hmm. I put it on the list of movies I have to watch, but I didn't really want to watch it. But it's kind of a classic in his genre, I guess. So.
Oh, it definitely is. Oh, there's.
I'm trying to get up to speed on things that are like, I don't want to say classics, but staples or no, what's the word? Canon.
Gotcha.
Last couple of weeks ago, this is partially because of my involvement in your crazy world. I read both V for Vendetta and the other one, the whatchamacallit man.
The TV show?
No, well, no.
Mad Men?
No. The comic, the graphic novel.
X-Men kind of thing, or
not X-Men, but you're not all that much better at this.
Oh, so people saying Watchmen. The Watchmen?
Right, Watchmen.
Oh, yeah.
Watchmen. Really pretentious shit. I mean,
it's meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the point. Like, I got it. They wanted, like, I understand the effort and the artistry and the depth that went into it. Although really dated politics.
Yeah.
Like, maybe in the mid to late 80s, it really was edgy to be predicting imminent nuclear war between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, and the real problem with policing thought and expression was Margaret Thatcher. That was Britain's real problem, right?
Right.
We've got a bigger problem now, as the dead Kennedys said in my day. Anyway.
Indeed.
Danielle, it has nothing to do with Zack Snyder. I'm talking about before I don't even know if Zack Snyder was out of short pants when these are comics from the 80s.
Yeah, well, no, because
Zack
Snyder, the movie adaptation.
No, but so whatever Zack Snyder did in the movie, he was already working with incredibly pretentious, and of course the whole thing with V for Vendetta with the, I do kind of like the idea of the mask, but I mean, it was just also, look, part of the reason it's so dated now also is who cares about England? I mean, the UK is not a player, I mean, they have ceded, CEDED. They have surrendered any global relevance, really. It's like watching a James Bond movie. Like, why would anyone call on James Bond to fix this problem? All right, whatever. This is for the Sunday show.
That's all right. I know you had a couple of stories you wanted to get to as well. If you want to pull them up backstage, I know you sent me the links, but you might want to scroll through them as you read them, or unless you want me to pull them up. But I just wanted to, this is the article from the New York Post. High school dropout murdered his mother and stepbrother before killing 6 people at a British Columbia school in Canada, identified as 18-year-old transgender ex-student of the school. One of the worst shootings in Canada's history. And then this individual then took their own life when they were finished taking the lives of others. 6 years ago, began to transition to female after being born a biological male. And again, remember, the Canadian healthcare system fully supports and effectively pays for all this because they have free healthcare in Canada. Pays for all of this. And these kids are, when they're 14, 15 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, and they're pumping their bodies full of these hormones and drugs that God never intended to be in there, especially while their brains are developing and everything else that goes along with it. And you wonder why bad things happen like this more often than not. McDonald said police had visited the family home, and I think this was the father, had visited the family home on multiple occasions over the last several years due to concerns over Van Rootselaar's mental health. Really? You don't say. I mean, there might have been a glaring issue staring you in the face, like he was trying to turn himself into a girl. But now we've normalized that, right? That's not a mental health issue anymore. That's a personal choice. Just as sure as a personal choice for me is wanting to identify as the Catholic Pope. And you have to kiss my ring. Right? So, everybody has to now refer to me as His Holiness Valiant Renegade. Because that's how I identify, and you can't tell me I'm not. On more than one occasion, he was taken into custody for assessment under the Mental Health Act in Canada, I guess. He said 2 years ago, firearms were seized from the home, but the lawful owner, whom McDonald did not name, or I guess McDonald's, this is the other one, did not name, got them back after petitioning to have them returned. 2 firearms were recovered at the school, including a long gun and a modified handgun. Well, they did not call it an AR-15 because every long gun is an AR-15 for the media for the last 30 years. A long gun and a modified handgun, but it was not immediately clear whether they were the weapons that were previously confiscated and returned. An initial alert issued about an active shooter at the school Tuesday afternoon described the shooter as a, quote, female in a dress. Okay.
So that was accurate.
I guess.
Except
police,
for, wait, why would you say a female in a dress? I mean, that's not, why would you go out of your way to say a female? I guess if you're describing someone.
Yeah.
What they're wearing.
He had the long hair.
Much more interesting to say a non-female in a
this guy was running around the school in a dress, shooting people. The police superintendent later described the shooter as a gun person in a press briefing. 6 people found deceased inside the school. Bodies of his mother and stepbrother were discovered in a local residence. It's terrible. Strang, in July of 24, he posted a picture of a trans inclusive pride flag emblazoned with the message, "Good people don't spend their time harassing marginalized community." Well, apparently the marginalized communities are shooting the other communities for being in school. Describing herself, there's so many things wrong here, describing herself as a conservative-leaning libertarian, Strang aligned herself with the flag's message. I figure that one out for me somehow. I really hope the hate I see online is just bored old people and not true hatred. Do better and educate yourself before spewing bullshit online, he wrote. Do you have any idea how many kids are killing themselves over this kind of hate? She asked before concluding her post with the hashtag.
Right,
quote.
they're killing themselves, and therefore that's the same as killing them.
Right, and in this case, they're now killing everybody else around them before they kill themselves. Maybe at some point, common sense will return to the West because it really needs to. Basically, for the entirety of human history. Boys and girls are different and have been such, and this has never been an issue until recently. And now we've all started telling ourselves, this kind of craziness. And now we wonder why things have gone absolute batshit with these kids that are diving into this and taking it as though, oh yeah, I can just change myself, and do this and put all this stuff in my body. And I wanted to play this because go ahead, Ron. Yeah.
I mean, I think even when this stuff started kind of creeping through the system, I don't think any of us thought, even the most slippery, slopiest of us, ever thought that you could brainwash kids into deciding that because they're unhappy, in other words, because they're adolescents, they must be a boy inside of a girl's body or the opposite.
Right.
I don't think any of us anticipated that it would be that easy.
No.
Because of course, when I say many of us, I mean those of us who are extremely what we are. Okay? Guys like you and me. Guys like you and me pump our veins pumping with testosterone. Okay, so we can't even imagine. We can't even imagine it.
No, it's a social contagion. But that's why the movement on the left, especially this radicalized LGBTQ movement that just wants they want to be able to go after kids as young as 4 and 5 years old and expose them to this, to the point where places like Florida and many other states have had to pass legislation that until that point nobody would have ever thought would ever need to be addressed in a legislature. Things like school teachers cannot talk to a 5-year-old about being gay and trans. It's kind of, but we don't have common sense anymore. What we have is social contagion, where everybody in the victim mentality and the participation trophy, every kid's a winner thing. And we have that generation that's come up. And now they think that, oh, we really can be whatever we want, up to and including changing my gender. Never mind the fact that you cannot change the 5 trillion cells in your body that all have a Y chromosome in them, guys.
Yeah, that whole part of the science just went right out the window.
Right, and it's a social contagion. And when you pepper kids with this stuff enough, and you have just enough starting to do, and that's why we've seen, what was it, 2 generations ago, people that identified as LGBTQ was like 2 to 3%. 3-4 generations ago, it might have been 1 or 2. Now it's 20, 25 in the youngest generations. I've seen figures as high as that.
Since you mentioned it, take a look at what I just queued up.
Yeah.
Brilliant legal insurrection columnist, writer, Jane Coleman.
Yes, indeed.
Points out that the Wall Street Journal published an article about how the medical profession has been so in on this. And she's picking up on an article that she wrote a couple of years ago. I can't believe how time flies.
Yeah.
I've got to change the stop sharing. I got to change the tab.
Okay. Here, I'll pull it down for a second.
Yeah. Of all the medical professions, of all the medical thingies. Okay, let me try it again. Of all the associations, you would think if anyone is going to look out for the children, it's going to be, you can put it back up.
Okay.
It's going to be the pediatricians.
Right.
And, in the UK, which is a pretty screwed up country, they said, this is ridiculous. But meanwhile, the American Academy of Pediatrics is still standing behind this stuff. So
yeah. Well, the problem is that just like the American Psychiatric Association, you really don't have, let's be honest, you don't have the classical, real talented, serious professionals running those organizations. A lot of them are now, it's appointed by political clout, either actual politics or clout in the industry. I mean, a lot of these things have, just like in Hollywood and just like in so many industries that have pushed for diversity, equity, and inclusion over the years, that, it's not just, we need to have, we've had teams of men developing video games that have been wildly popular since the days of Atari. Now, all of a sudden, we want to throw the men out and we want to give entire teams of women the opportunity to create multi-million-dollar production cost video games. Most of them flopped badly.
Just like they did, just like they did with the Marvel Universe, and
right.
And I mean, name it. Everything.
But it's now bled over. It's not just entertainment. It's now bled over to the medical profession. We are now making and recommending medical care based on DEI is what it boils down. It's insanity.
Right. It's right. I mean, it's bad enough you're going to ruin businesses, and you're going to, because really they have flushed billions.
Hundreds of billions.
The numbers a lot better than I do, but literal billions, maybe billions per year, probably billions per year in stockholder value and shareholder value and corporate assets and, benefits and jobs and entire units of publicly held corporations have been destroyed by this. Okay, so it's the gaming industry, it's the media industry, easy come, easy go. They all make too much money anyway. You're talking about life and death. You're talking about people's lives here. It's an absolute scandal.
Yeah, it is. It is, and this is. We're going to keep having it here. They're going to keep having it in Canada. They keep having it in the UK. The more that they allow this type of garbage to continue, you know what? You're a 30-year-old. You want to go chop your dick off and get a fake pair of tits and put on high heels or whatever and act like the cast of Monty Python, who were doing it humorously. And it was really funny. I've been re-binging Monty Python's Flying Circus on Pluto.
Do you by chance have access to the Lumberjack song?
Not right in front of me right now, but
you'll get struck. You'll get copyright strict.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, but it's all four seasons are free right now on Pluto TV.
Right, but God forbid you should share them on YouTube. So forget about that.
I was so happy when I got to season 2 and the Spanish Inquisition episode came on. I hadn't watched that in 15 years.
Nobody expects this. I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. I cut down trees. I skip and jump. I like to press wildflowers.
I put on women's clothing and hang around in bars.
I wish I was a girly, just like my dear papa.
Oh, that's classic. That's the Lumberjack song, Monty Python, if y'all don't know what the hell we're doing. But I think most of the people in this audience know Monty Python. But yeah, we've taken that. We've taken the jokes that we did in the 70s and the 80s about this stuff.
We've turned our world into a joke.
It's what it is. And now we've got people quite literally being killed over it. Because surprise, surprise, people that do this, their brains aren't functioning right, and they snap, and then.
But it's not. But it's not only that.
Yeah,
they have been ideologized not only with respect to their sex change stuff, but to this idea that anyone who's not on board with them on their fantasy is literally a mortal enemy.
Yes.
And deserves death. And there's not a single Democrat politician that I'm aware of, maybe Fetterman, who has said anything to condemn this ideology.
No, it's not. And it's the same mentality as those in Minnesota and elsewhere protesting ICE. Think about it for a second.
Yes.
You've got the left makes the argument that if you are simply a normal, rational thinking adult person that says, no, Bobby, you cannot turn yourself into a girl. It's just, I mean, you can pretend and dress up, but it's not going to make you one. But if you say that, if you have those kind of thoughts, you are killing trans people. You are, words are violence, right? It's the same thing with ICE. There people are out there with the same attitude. The ICE are Nazis. Why? Well, they're doing their jobs. They're picking up people that aren't supposed to be here, and they're sending them out. They're enforcing federal law. But when you keep repeating the word, Nazi, and they're killing people, and words are violence and all this, you have people that try to now kill ICE agents and federal law enforcement officers. It's the same brain dead mentality that says this, that just because you oppose something means that you want all the people that fall under that category that you oppose to die, which is ridiculous. So in any case, okay. Last couple of things. I know you had a couple of stories that you wanted to.
I've got another one, and we're not being overwhelmed with super chats tonight. Some of our usual friends. Thank you, Skull.
Yes,
Skull
indeed.
Leader.
Speaking of, let me grab these real quick then.
Good.
Marcus for 2, idiocracy is prophecy in the guise of comedy. You're not wrong. EHEF for 10 says the ShamWow guy is on Timcast running for Texas Congress. I saw this. I thought it was a joke at first. I can't believe this. And somehow the calmer version of him is weirder than the infomercial version.
Many such cases.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the $10, my man. Archer says for 5, not to make light of it, but I doubt those harmed were thinking in that moment, I hope they don't misgender them. Yeah, exactly. That's
don't be so sure of that.
Well,
there is a suicidal urge in our society, and we're seeing. Look, I mean, it's basically the entire story of progressive politics is along those lines. So,
yep.
Don't be so sure. I mean, your point is well taken, Archer Merchant, especially for $5.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Suicidal empathy. Thank you, Skull Leader. Thank you.
Suicidal empathy. Yep. And then we got one more here. Skull Leader says DEI meritocracy is another name for white supremacy. That's what it is. Just like with voter ID. You can't have voter ID laws because it's racist. It disenfranchises women and minorities. Meritocracy. Oh, you want to hire based on qualifications and doing the best job and being the best candidate? Well, that's racist and sexist.
Oh, listen. So on that point,
yeah,
I'm going to bring up another Jane Coleman tweet, which is amazing.
Oh, please.
So let me share this tab instead. Okay. This is on the topic of DEI.
Okay.
And as she writes, in this famous 1968 exchange, Macklin Fleming, Justice of the California Court of Appeal, predicts academic mismatch and tells Lewis Pollock, Dean of Yale Law School, the school's race-based admissions policy is courting disaster. This is 1969.
Wow.
And in the paragraph that Jane highlighted, the immediate damage to the standards of Yale Law School needs no elaboration. In other words, if you're going to take people who are less qualified, they're going to suck.
Right.
But beyond this, it seems to me, the admission policy adopted by the law school faculty will serve to perpetuate the very ideas and prejudices it is designed to combat. If in a given class, the great majority of the black students are at the bottom of the class, this factor is bound to instill, unconsciously at least, some sense of intellectual superiority among the white students and some sense of intellectual inferiority among the black students. Such a pairing in the same school, the brightest white students in the country with the black students of mediocre academic qualifications, is a social experiment with loaded dice and a stacked deck.
Yep.
And here we are.
Yep. It took 50 years. It took 50 years. And I look, and I may have told you this story before. I think I've told it in this chat. You speaking of law schools, Southern Law School, which is in Baton Rouge. It is a historically black college. But there's probably, if it's still the case as it was 20 to 25 years ago, there were more white students in that law college that they had than the black students. And the black students were typically more towards the bottom of the class performance-wise, because I knew my cousin graduated from there, who is white, and a former governor, the state of Louisiana, was in the law class with my cousin, Governor Mike Foster. He was getting a law degree while he was governor. And there was a point where certain, I think he was a state senator by that point, Arthur Morell. Y'all look the story up, and it's because I'm not making this up. It's probably 20, 25 years ago now. Arthur Morell was dismayed at the fact that there were getting to be too many white students at the law school that was that part of a historically black college. He wanted to actually pass legislation that would ban white students at Southern Law. Like straight up, just you cannot admit white kids. My cousin, who I think had just, by that point, I think he had graduated a few years earlier, was now a practicing lawyer, was making the argument that the problem with that is that if you eliminated the white students from Southern Law in the past, whatever he measured, like 5 years, 10 years, the passage rate of the Louisiana State Bar Exam fell to less than 19%.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
There is one outstanding law school, by the way, in Louisiana. And that is, whatchamacallit?
Tulane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tulane is very, very well known. Loyola Law School, my understanding is very good. But Tulane is the one everybody really know. That has the bigger national reputation.
Yeah.
It's practically like an Ivy League type.
Yeah, it's one of the 20 top 10 schools.
Yeah. The 20 top 10 schools.
Which I went to a 20 top 10 school also.
A 20 top, yeah, exactly. You had sent me, let's see, oops, I got the wrong grid here. You had sent me this as a news piece that you wanted to discuss here. And this is also from Legal Insurrection. And
yes. Well, right. Since Ninth Circuit paused a lower court's decision that had blocked DHS Secretary Christine Noem from ending temporary protected status for Honduras, Nepal, and Nicaragua. Actually, if you want to share my tab, I have I found a.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Things happen.
Hang on. Let's see.
Ms. Noem. There we go. Not as pretty of a face, but he's usually pretty close to getting things right. Not always, but usually right up there. So, as Jonathan Turley explains, there was a very dubious decision that was made in August by U.S. Judge Trina Thompson, who said the president can't end the temporary protective status for these various countries because those people are colored. So it must be that the reason that they were untemporarily protected was because they're people of color.
Can I ask a question to that? Serious question.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that the temporary protected status for these countries was initially implemented by whom, or should I say what branch?
By the President of the United States, who is the only one who has the power to either designate a country as being eligible for refugee special protected status, or to end, as a matter of statute, or to end that status.
Yep.
This judge says, well, I know why the president really did it.
Mm-hmm.
And he really did it because they're colored people. And the Ninth Circuit. Remember, I was reminding you folks, although the Ninth Circuit still has some wacky panels, and I'm a little bit bitter because I really got screwed by one myself, and it wasn't a political case earlier this year or last year. Terrible decision, but they have stayed the injunction. They have said no. On appeal, Judge Thompson, you're going to lose. Mm-hmm. And here's the really important language. As Turley says, the panel acknowledged the obvious in ruling against the district court, given the recent Supreme Court decision. I don't know why he says decision, because as the quotation makes clear, it's two decisions. Mm-hmm. We're not writing on a blank slate, because the Supreme Court has twice stayed district court orders blocking the secretary's vacatur. Whenever you hear someone talking about an order being vacated, the act of vacating something is called vacatur. And if you hear vacation, you're listening to someone who doesn't know how to use the word. Vacatur of temporary protective status for Venezuela. Okay, two cases that they cite, both of them from only months ago. Those orders contain no reasoning. They don't inform our analysis. The case is not identical, but the stay applications involve similar assertions of harm, and we've been admonished that the Supreme Court's stay orders should inform how we exercise our equitable discretion in cases like this that are like those. And we therefore conclude that the equitable factors favor stay. I don't want to get into what equitable factors means. Point is, this was an obviously wrong decision from go.
Yeah. The president exercised authority that is vested in the president.
Solely in the president. And the idea, there was another one last week where the judge said, I wish I could remember which judge said, I'm not saying that the court, it's DC judge, of course. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that the court is, that the president is, that I'm allowed to second guess the president's judgment on this, but what I am allowed to second guess is how he made the decision.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't work that way. That's what it sounds like to me, Ron. It's well, a couple of things. It's like saying, well, when we were talking about a few months ago that they wanted to have some kind of legislation that would compel, the hiring of certain types of folks, or you can't fire certain types of folks, and they wanted all the DEI protections, right? And it's like, well, okay, we're going to interview 10 people. We're hiring one, right? We hire one person, the best candidate. And then one of the other 10 comes in and says, well, wait a minute, I'm going to sue you. You didn't hire me because I'm a black woman or something like that. And you can just like, no, we can only hire one, but now you're going to take this case. It doesn't matter the merits of it, right? It doesn't matter the reality of it. It's just a matter of the perception of you did it because I'm a certain color, even when there's tons of evidence to suggest otherwise. Disney went through this years ago. We were talking about the fight in Florida before with the House Bill 1557, whatever it was, the parental rights and education. Hey, don't talk to kids about being gay and trans. And Disney wanted to go, and they fought it in the federal court. They fought it in the state courts, and they tried to say, well, the state of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, who they were suing, saying that they can't take away Reedy Creek from us because they're violating our First Amendment rights, freedom of speech. Remember that one? And, of course, the federal court is like, no, bro. It's like, no. It's no. Because ultimately the power that they were given in 1967 was a power that was created by the Florida state legislature and therefore could be destroyed by the Florida state legislature. And
what these judges, right. So
yeah.
You're right, Valiant. What these judges are consistently doing, and this came up also in another legal story for this week, was I think it was Politico reporting on what judges are doing in the Fifth Circuit to circumvent rulings on immigration. They come up with these liberty interests. In other words, they say, well, it's true that under the statute, district courts don't have the ability to do, to say, for example, a writ of habeas corpus. But under the Constitution, we find that there's a certain liberty interest. What they're talking about is this idea. And this is one of Sotomayor's favorite topics, or favorite crutches, that there is an expectation. People come to rely, and this is something that the journalists love. This person, this illegal immigrant, this undocumented, non-official person from another country, this illegal immigrant, they've been living here for 20 years. They've been living here for 20 years, Spock. And it would just be wrong. Like they've gotten used to getting away with a crime of being an illegal immigrant.
Right.
And it would be an unfair dashing of their expectations. I mean, they've had children, and you might well say, so the easy answer to that is, when you do something illegal, there should not be a matter of public policy for you to ever feel comfortable about doing it and being allowed to continue doing it forever. But there's an even stronger legal argument, which is what we're talking about is something that in the law is called estoppel. This is an equitable doctrine, estoppel. And you can see the word stop is in the middle of it. It probably comes from Norman French. Estoppel is where you say that because somebody relied on something to their detriment based on a reasonable understanding of what you were going to do for them, you shouldn't be allowed to take it away from them later. And it applies in all kinds of contexts. For example, situations where someone thinks he's made a deal with someone, but it turns out that the contract that they made is defective. It wasn't really a proper contract. But meanwhile, I've paid you, or I've shut down my business, or I moved to where I thought you were going to employ me. That's called equitable estoppel. In other words, what the courts of equity said, as a legal matter, we can't enforce a contract because it turns out the contract is defective for some reason. But as a matter of equity, we're going to act as if there were a contract for this reason. There's a general rule when it comes to estoppel. There's no such thing as estoppel against the state or against the crown. There's no such thing as estoppel against the crown. The state can change its mind about policy. The state, otherwise, could you imagine, how could you ever make policy? When I bought this house, the lot next door was zoned for residential, but now they just zoned it for mixed use. So I want the state to pay me back for my house. What you have the right to do is when they have the zoning meeting where they're going to change, or they're considering changing the zoning, you can say, guys, this is going to kill me. Come on, I get your neighbors to come and they can petition and they can make their argument. But if in fact it's not an arbitrary and capricious decision that was made by the zoning board and it's lawful, if they decide to change the zoning, that's it. That's the way it works. Otherwise, we can't get anything done because people are always think in your area of law, in your area of professional work, all the decisions people make based on an understanding of how the tax code will treat certain kinds of investments, and then the tax code changes.
Yeah, about every year.
Running to the government. It's the same thing. It's always, there's no estoppel against the government. So the fact that people lived here and were good citizens, it means that what it really means is they got a great deal. They got to get away with it for 10 or 20 years. And all we're going to do is send them back to the Republic of Shithole.
The Republic of Shithole. That's it.
We're not going to take away the money they earned. We're not. And if their family loves them so much, then they can go back to shithole with them. But they violated the law.
But you've got some judges out there, and we've seen it since Trump came back in office. That's exactly what they think should happen: is just leave them sit. It's like, well, you can't do this. You can't do this. It's not fair. And, and this is kind of, and again, I don't want to go down a legal rabbit hole, but it's one of the issues I've always had with things like the concept of like stare decisis. This idea that, well, just, that's precedent. That's what we've been doing 50 years. Just let it stand on that. And then that takes every bad decision that's ever been made by a court and ensconces it in carbonite, like it's Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back. That's and look, if that was the case where, well, stare decisis is the law of the land, to throw a pun in, Roe v. Wade wouldn't have changed. You would have some of these other cases that probably need to go back on. They say, well, this is decided. This law has been decided. Yeah, okay, well, it was decided wrong. I don't care if it was decided wrong yesterday, 50 years ago, or 200 years ago. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Fix it. But it's kind of that same attitude where, well, you've been breaking the law for 20 years and you've gotten away with it. So what can we do? Stare decisis. Just let the precedent stand. No. It's like...
If that were the case, then we would... think of all the really notorious Supreme Court decisions,
Plessy, Brown versus Board. Yeah, all the other stuff that, you learn.
Brown versus Board of Education, when, I guess we say it's the right way. The fact is, Brown versus Board of Education is not a good decision, but I think we all agree we wouldn't want to live in a world where separate but equal. The problem with Brown is that separate but equal, it's bad policy. It is the way they got there, though, by saying that, the psychological effects on black kids, like it was just hocus pocus. It was bad science. It was
yeah. But that's what I'm saying is they fixed it. They didn't let it stand. They said, we got to fix this.
Exactly.
So that's my point is that. But that's always the again, we go back to the arguments of the left that wants you to sit there and go, well, we've been doing it this way for a while. Because then the next thing is 10 or 15 years from now, when you have 10 million psychologically wrecked adults that were transed as kids, oh well, it's just this. That's just how it is. We just let it stand and keep going. No, none of that. That's one of the biggest bear traps out in the forest. I think is getting lazy and just saying, well, this is already decided. It's settled law, that kind of thing, or it's a settled segment of society. And it's like, no,
Roe versus Wade was settled, and before Roe, there are a million cases that change the law, and that's what happens.
Yep, indeed. Let's get. We got one more super chat here from Coopster for 5. We went from top tier education to bottom 10 in the world. Weird. It happened after the teachers union was developed. We need to get rid of it. You start with the Department of Education, which I know was one of Trump's highlights coming in. It was to, if not eliminate it, seriously minimize it. And I think that's the one that Linda McMahon was put in charge of. And that is a big piece of it. And look, and the more, and I love the phrase foreign welfare tourists has become one of my new favorite phrases. The more of these kind of folks that you let in the country, like we just talked about, where you're trying to put students that academically are not meriting getting into college in many cases.
Well, at this point, that doesn't mean anything.
No, but my point is that, right. That's what I'm saying is, and then we wonder why the educational scores are, on average, shite. Because you've got a lot of people.
Forget about scores. People don't know anything.
No.
Unless you have, and here's the thing, for a long, long time, we thought at least someone has a science degree, at least someone has an engineering degree. They're moving the woke stuff into the science, engineering, and medicine too.
Oh yeah, it's so much brain rot. There's so much brain rot out there. It's affected every single industry. So that gets us all caught up, Ron, and we're about at that time here. So.
I'm so glad we have this time together. Any other 70s kids want to sing along? Just to have a laugh or sing a song. Because we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. So long, everybody. Good night.
There you go.
What show, folks?
What's that? I'm sorry, I lost you.
What show was that? Carol Burnett show.
Carol Burnett show. Yep.
Saturday night, 10 to 11. Those are the days.
Harvey Korman.
Those were the days.
And
Because at 8 o'clock
Tim
was on the
Conway.
family.
Yeah.
Tim Conway was, yes, I remember when he joined the actual ensemble. He had been a guest star before that, but then they made him, whatever.
I will never forget is one of the first sketches, which is where Mama's Family came from, was the Carol Burnett show. And there's still a video. I think I still have it saved in my YouTube history because I like to go back and watch it every now and again. It still cracks me up. Tim Conway went into his bit, kind of ad-libbing things almost, the elephant story, and broke Harvey Korman.
Well,
like
Harvey Korman
40 times.
he used to
No, I
crack
know.
up.
But it wasn't just Harvey Korman. Harvey Korman went down, and he used to crack up all the time with. But the killer was he folded Dick Van Dyke during that. Dick Van Dyke was on the show. He was guesting on the show, and Tim Conway just put him on the floor. He just started going, and Dick Van Dyke could not hold a straight face for the rest of the skit. He broke the whole way through.
Can I just
And
make
it's
an
hilarious.
important point? Dick Van Dyke is still alive.
He's like 100 years old.
And what a lot of people forget is that he's an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
This was a guy who really, really hit the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
He was Mr. Song and Dance, literally the last really successful song and dance man, and then movie musicals came to an end. And I don't really know the story, but he did become a very serious alcoholic. That's not usually a great combination, a great
To live to 100.
Yeah.
George
But then again,
Burns.
maybe being a song and dance man, maybe that's much better.
George Burns was still drinking and sucking down cigars every day till he died. He was 100 years old.
Until he fell and broke his hip.
Yeah.
He was going to perform.
Bob
on his 100th
Hope was well into
birthday.
his 90s.
He was going to perform on his 100th birthday at the Albert Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And he fell and he broke his hip. And boy, that sometimes really is just like the straw that breaks the camel's back. Sad.
Mm-hmm.
But we're young, vital.
I know.
Oh,
We got one more.
I'm glad we vamped for another 5 minutes because now we got another $5 to split.
Glade Ribbon for 5. Region lock prepaid credit cards to the U.S. It will solve a lot of problems. Look, there's a lot of things I'm at the point now with 10 spam calls a day about my $70,000 loan package is ready and it'll cost me $400 a month. I'm not kidding. I had to clear, my voicemail was full today. My phone beeped me. I was not getting voicemails. Clients couldn't even leave my voicemail was so full of all the spam calls. I didn't realize how I went back just between October and now. There were something like 500. I just you want to do something? Any call coming in from overseas on a Google voice over IP, ban it. Right. Don't even let it enter the country, especially if it's coming from like India or Jamaica or some of these other places where these scammers are notorious. They don't care about do not call lists. The laws don't work with them. They don't give a shit. So good night, Grace.
People, I want to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, the Thursday night Valley Nation has been an incredible simulation of reality for me. And I hope it has been for you as well.
Indeed. We're out of here. I'll see you Sunday on the main show, 6 p.m. Eastern. We should have a new video coming out, I think, tomorrow. I've got to check with Jonas. Catching up on the Netflix, Paramount, Warner Brothers craziness going on right now.
It's crazy.
And I tell you what, that's something I will be paying a lot closer. We'll probably have some more legal discussions on that once.
Yeah, I want to get on a panel, but I want a panel. I want to be on a panel to discuss. I'll do some antitrust homework.
Yep.
But Lou Wasserman's ghost has got to be in the discussion. That's my only demand.
Okay. Well, I will talk to Lou. I'm sure we can work something out. So,
all right. Good night, everybody. Have a great
night.
weekend.
We'll see you Sunday. Take care.